I don't know how long I've been a supporter at Leicester, to be honest, because it's been since I was little, since I remember. My dad actually started going down with my granddad, and then I started going down with my dad and my granddad. And then it's just the bonding time with me and my dad, because I don't get to see him much because we're working all week. So it is the odd Saturday when we've got a game at home, I'm there with my dad. When I first got my season ticket, and before I did have it and just went to the odd games, if I knew that I was going that week, I would be saving all the change that I had from my lunch money that my parents gave me to go towards a programme at the end of the week. The club is very important for me. It drives my granddad when he was struggling to come out and come and watch the games, even though he struggles to now, but he's always watching it on TV. And if there's an away game, he comes up and sits with us and watches it, and he's always talking to me about it. And then the relationship with my dad just grew from the moment I said that I wanted to go and watch a game.
When we got married in 2002, there was never any discussion as to where the reception was going to be. All the wedding photos were taken on the pitch. That was home to us, so that's where we felt we needed to be, sort of celebrating our weddings.
We get about just over 30,000 each game. On a game, the atmosphere is just wild. Say for instance when we're winning, it goes absolutely mental. Like, I remember the Man U game when we won 5-3, and it was crazy. Fans were cheering like there was no tomorrow. It actually hits you a lot when you go to an away game, because our fans, of course, stay together when we're at away game. If you get on a coach with some fans, we're always talking about different games or singing. And then we go to different pubs, and it seems like all the Leicester fans will stay together. And then when you're walking through all the away bits, you don't actually see any of the other fans communicating.
You know, if someone asks me where I'm from, I respond quite proudly that I'm from Leicester. And I think that lots of people here would do. And I think because there's that sense of identity, I think there's a sense of community comes with that in that people look out for each other, and I think people are very respectful of each other. Leicester City Centre itself is very tolerant because of the mix of nationalities from South America, from Southeast Asia, from the Far East, from the Middle East. There's there are people living in Leicester from all over the world.
Girls aren't known to support football and support Leicester. It's more men, but then there's me and younger girls that I see going down to the football, supporting them, and there's older women going to the football. So it's different genders, different ages, different religions, different sexualities, different races, all there, and they all come together at the football and support a team.
The idea of football as a universal language is a huge thing, I think, because it's a sport that is played across the world. And I think particularly in as diverse a city as Leicester, I think it's the sort of thing that can bring people together. Everything at a club should be geared to what fans want. They're the people that stick around. We see it so often, we hear about it so often, but it is true that players, managers, owners come and go, but the fans are there for their whole lifetime. So 80 years you could be following a club.
So when Vichai took over, the club just seemed to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
And initially people were quite, I wouldn't say cynical, but they were very apprehensive because a lot of foreign owners had come in and really taken money out of the club and sort of just looked to make profits from football clubs. So there was a lot of wariness about it.
Vichai's integration was made a lot easier by the fact that they made it clear that they were interested in the fans and the fans' points of view, than just somebody coming in and starting to dictate and saying this is what we're going to do and whatever.
With the appointment of Sven-Göran Eriksson, that kind of set out what they wanted to achieve with the club, and it was clear that reaching the Premier League was an objective for them.
I would say the community's grown the angle of Leicester City involved, which has grown since Vichy has been here.
We've seen charitable investments, really in a wide range of things, but I suppose the main one that people remember, they donated a couple of million to Leicester hospitals after the title win.
They also do donations every year to many local charities, so I think last year they've tried to do an equivalent of the age of Vichy, so I think it was £610,000.
It shows that they're not just concerned with the money that the football club makes. I think with those charitable acts, I think that was when people around the city, not just football fans, realised what good people they were and how good they were for both the football club and the people of the city.
And there'd been an injury in the game, so my husband got his iPad out to have a look, see if there's any update, and his face just went white.
We actually just got back from the game, and I went upstairs, and then my cousin texted me and was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And then we saw on the news.
It was my first game as lead reporter. We'd just spoken to Blackwell, the manager at the time. He'd been in for his press conference. About 10 minutes, 20 minutes after that, we saw police cars and ambulances driving by the media room. Didn't think anything of it because I suppose that it's fairly normal for a football match. Then a colleague of mine from one of the national papers received a phone call to say they think the helicopter's crashed, and a few of us went out and ran the corner to one side of the car park, and we could see on the other side of the car park sort of a ball of flames, if you like.
And we didn't believe it first, because we were like, that can't be right. We were just there.
We'd lost somebody who, at the time, you felt his heart was in the club. It subsequently found that not only was his heart in the club, it was in the city of Leicester as well.
Afterwards, there was a lot of things put up for fans. So, for instance, there was a tent with where you could go in and sign a book of condolence. So that was the initial things, and I think they tried to give fans a way of grieving and a way of then celebrating his life as well. So I think initially it was, as well as putting the scarves down, it was signing the condolences book. And then when it came to the next game, we'd learned a couple of days beforehand that they were putting 32,000 scarves out.
It was very shocking, and I think it hit everyone at the club, especially because when we went to the games afterwards, it was quite hard because you felt so low because you've lost someone that's part of the family, really.
I think the one thing that happened through that day is it became an international story of what Vichy was really like, in terms of not just the fact he was the chairman that got us the Premier League title, it was all the community aspect of his life that came to the fruition, really. And I think the world suddenly learnt what the Leicester community had already knew about Vichy as a person.
Yeah, I feel like the club and the players are now, just every time they play a game, they're playing it for Vichy. They don't let their heads drop because they're playing for Vichy.
And obviously with what they've done since with the memorial garden and dedicated to Vichy and the rest of the setup they've done here, you've got to say, you would imagine they're going to be here for a long, long while now, because the family is so ingrained into the club, but equally the local community is so ingrained into the owners because of what they've done, not only with the Premier League title, but in the community.
I will always be a supporter of the club. I can never imagine myself not supporting the club. It's a hobby that has just took over my life, and I just love it.